Fatalities over the Easter weekend have decreased by 41% compared to last year around this time. This was revealed by the Minister of Transport, Nzimande, during an Easter road safety law enforcement activation yesterday. In terms of enforcement, more than 800 drivers were arrested for various offences across the country. But for more on this now, let us welcome in studio with me Simon Zwane. He's the Road Traffic Management Corporation's spokesperson. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for coming through.
Good afternoon, Palace.
Now, we've been reporting on the flooded areas across the country. So I know it was raining yesterday. I was on the road, in fact, yesterday, driving back to Johannesburg, and it was very difficult. Any incidents as a result of rain?
Now, fortunately, there were no major incidents, except one, actually, in the Western Cape, where 8 people died. But apart from that, there were small bumper bashing incidents, and nothing major happened. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah, small accidents on the roads. I think I came across about 3 between Heilbron and Sasolburg yesterday. I think it was drivers who do not keep a safe distance.
It was worrying to see that, because even visibility was not clear, and yet people were not reducing speed. They were still traveling at high speed and not allowing enough space between the vehicles.
But the RTMC's overall impression of drivers' behavior over the past Easter weekend?
Now, we are impressed by the way the people have behaved. If you look at on the first day of traveling, for instance, on the N3, there would have been around 90,000 vehicles, yet there was no major incident reported. The same on the N1 to Polokwane. More than 50,000 vehicles, no big incident or major crash reported. That shows that people are internalizing the messages. It was also quite encouraging to see the planning that some people had gone into to plan their trips, making sure they leave Gauteng after 7 when there's sufficient light, and that allowing them to get into Durban around 8. And around 9 there was no major, the traffic was no longer as hectic as it was, and that was also encouraging.
And I think what is also significant this time around is that there have been far fewer crashes involving bigger vehicles, your trucks, your taxis, your minibus taxis. What are we attributing all of this? You talk about drivers planning, but from the side of law enforcement, what can we attribute this to? There
was a lot of education. Remember, after the festive season, we said planning for the Easter started then. So which meant engaging with the freight industry, engaging with public transport operators, ensuring that all public transport vehicles, particularly taxis that were going to undertake long-distance trips, were checked for roadworthiness. And we also clamped down on the overloading of trailers. That focused attention also assisted in making sure that the taxis and trucks don't get involved in accidents.
And I suppose police visibility as well, because one came across a number of law enforcement agencies throughout.
We even put onto the road our mobile testing vehicles to test the roadworthiness vehicles that we could have missed. So also that sent a message that these guys mean business this time.
Yeah, no, they do. But surely you may still be busy, collating your data for all the incidents of the past weekend. But we had the minister yesterday saying that road fatalities decreased by 41% for this year's Easter holidays. Talk to us about that.
Look, we are still putting together the numbers. Remember, yesterday there were still many people traveling in rain and all of that. So we need to put all information, get even from the smallest of police station, if there were any reports. But the picture is looking encouraging.
Where are we sitting as it is now? Because I think last night we were sitting at 104 fatalities as compared to 510 deaths last year this time. So do you have the numbers?
510, I don't think is a correct number.
Last year this time?
No, 510 was not the number for last year this time. It was around 230 or so. That number is inaccurate. But they're still putting in the numbers. I haven't looked at where it stands now, but we are encouraged and very hopeful that we will see a reduction.
But at the same time, we still reported over the past weekend of drivers, a number of motorists were caught speeding, some were caught drinking and driving, some were caught driving under the influence of alcohol. So you talk about the message having reached the target audience, but if we're still talking about those who are speeding and driving under the influence, it means there's still a long way to go.
Here's what happened. Once people see that traffic has subsided and other people have reached their destination, particularly in Gauteng, the roads are quieter. They think that now we can get away with it. Even the traffic cops are not on the road. The fact that they were caught shows that even when it was quiet, traffic officers were on the road and they managed.
But it still talks to drivers' mentality of doing wrong, getting onto the road, knowing that it's illegal to drive under influence, but they still do it anyway. It's
the mentality that says, I can get away with it, I'm too smart, and which is what we were trying to change. That's why someone was traveling at 193 kilometers an hour on R21. He felt that the road, it's quiet, I can get away with it. They're probably not looking because the traffic has subsided. But he was caught because the guys were out there looking for it. Even the one who was 10 times above his drinking limit was arrested simply because he thought I can get into the road.
But we're talking about 312 drivers who were arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. This is a huge number.
They were arrested not on the freeways. They were arrested within the suburbs, townships and villages because that's where most of the drinking and driving happens. And this is where the high number of pedestrians are also killed. And we went into that space to try and save the lives of pedestrians, but to deal with that culture of impunity that happens within these areas, because people think I'm drinking not very far from home. I can drive home quickly here. And we know the police are always on the freeways. The fact that we're arresting them right in there shows that we are responding to the problem.
Let's talk about other offences committed by motorists. We've mentioned speeding, we've spoken about driving under the influence, and at least, 549 drivers were arrested over this past weekend?
No,
for what offences?
It's now 1,041.
So it's 1,041?
They are arrests only. But it's people who are driving without licenses. There are people who are driving unlicensed vehicles, driving unroadworthy vehicles, who are overloading goods and passengers.
But there's a video that I have seen, and it's alleged that the guy on the video is an SAPS member who was trying to run away from your law enforcement officers and apparently hid in church that is in Mpumalanga. Do you know anything about that video that's doing the rounds?
Yeah, he's a member of the SAPS flying squad in Bombela. He was stopped by the members of the National Traffic Police, didn't obey the instructions to stop, was chased and then ran into this church. They went and caught him there. In fact, he's one of 3 SAPS members arrested over the weekend, and one member of the South African Defence Force was also arrested over the weekend. It's worrying because these people are supposed to be part of the law enforcement fraternity, supposed to be ambassadors for road safety. We see that happening amongst them. It is
indeed worrying. So was he also driving under the influence of alcohol?
He was 3 times above the alcohol limit, and the other fellow was 2.5 above the legal alcohol limit.
But from where you're sitting as the RTMC, are we ever going to see a 0% or a day of 0% fatalities and accidents during periods such as your Easter weekends?
We look forward to that day.
What needs to happen to get there? What
needs to happen to get there is for all of us to take responsibility. Before we get into the vehicles, the driver must know that's not only about himself only or herself only. It's also the roads are a shared space. There are other people who have got an equal right to be on that road, and therefore it's his responsibility to ensure their safety. And we need to be consistent with the enforcement of the law. That's why the minister said we will continue with these operations that we have had over the Easter. We continue with them throughout. We know every weekend incidents go up because people have got money, they go drinking and stuff. And we are beginning to change that. We're clamping down on that.
And some people are saying that the leniency of the justice system is a problem. That is why you still find people who still drink and get into their cars and drive.
Yeah, the cases still take too long to be finalized in court. and bail is obtained quite easily. The person who was drunk got 1,500 rand bail, and the one who was speeding got 1,500 rand bail. We don't agree with that. In our view, those people should have been kept in custody until they appeared in court. We don't agree with this police bail that they get so easily.
So
it sends a wrong message, sends a message that you can get away with it.
Exactly. Yes. So will the status quo ever change? It
will change. We're having a constant engagement with the police and the justice system. It will change.
All right. So in terms of the official final numbers of road fatalities and road accidents, when can we expect that?
Well, we are finalizing them in the next 2 days, and then the minister will take a decision as when he releases them.
All right. Later this week.
Yeah.
All right, Simon, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you very much.
All right, many thanks there to the Road Traffic Management Corporation's spokesperson, Simon Zwane, talking to us about the incidents of the past weekend, more so on our roads, of course, with over 1,000 motorists who've been arrested for various offences on the South African roads.